The other day, you sent me a video from Pakistan with some kind of imam or sheikh encouraging people to continue to go to Friday prayers and pray congregation despite the COVID-19 pandemic. What is the problem that some religious people have when it comes to living in the modern world and adapting their religion to the reality we live in now? I mean, it's a small minority of people, by the way, but it just stood out as an interesting video that there are shaykh saying we are going to continue praying in congregation, even though the clear, sensible thing to do and the logic from some of the religious teachings, which I hope you're going to touch upon, actually tell you during a pandemic, during an illness, keep people separate in case it spreads. But what's your take on that?
See, you know, the Muslims today, we are not only victims of the far right, we are also victims of the far left. The organizations such as the extreme version of the Taliban, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, they have hijacked our faith, and they have made us look like fools all over this earth. So, as I say, not only are we at risk from the people who kill us and murder anyone in sight and blow up a bus with young kids on it going to school, they also have an extreme version on the far left, and that far left says we will pray no matter what. And there's irony in this. When you risk your life to pray, it just makes no sense when you can do this at home, but there's this arrogance that appears from nowhere and says, hey, look at me, I'm controlling all these people. Now, there's an organization called the Tablighi Juma in, I assume it's all over the world, but perhaps their center is in Pakistan, in Islamabad. They had 250,000 human beings from all over this world attending the biggest conference that they could. And in that conference, you may know that there were 2 people from Gaza that come indirectly through Egypt. When they returned to Gaza, what an irony. Look at the coincidence. 2 people that came from Pakistan back to Gaza were the ones who unfortunately had the virus and who also spread this virus onto others. This is a tragedy. This is unbelievable. This is shocking what they are doing. And Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, said, if you have a tiny, tiny bit of arrogance or pride in your heart, then eradicate it immediately, because you will go to hell forever if you keep it.
So the people that came into Gaza from Pakistan, are we tracing the outbreak in Gaza back to them? Because Gaza is closed from the outside and, well, from both sides on the Rafah border and into Israel proper. If the 5G theory goes out the window now, doesn't it? Because if there's an outbreak in Israel, there couldn't be coronavirus in Israel, but not Gaza, if it was to do with 5G or whatever nonsense people are. I really want to put that one to bed. I think the 5G nonsense. Come on, we'll come back to that later. But the fact that people came from Pakistan, infected into Gaza, and now people in Gaza are sick, there's your evidence that it's a virus. It's a virus. It's spread from person to person, and the solution is, as you mentioned, you keep people apart.
The tragedy is the 2 infected. How many more did they infect on their travels, and how many were they affected by? This is a circle. Regarding the 5G, very quickly, unfortunately, you're going to have to do that, because 5G it's not only set here in England or in the West. We have to ask our friends where 5G is really set. Is it from America or wherever? But 5G is around the world.
It started in Wuhan, apparently. But there's a question in the comments for you. What did it say in the Quran regarding how Muslims should pray Juma prayer? Well, I presume Faiza means during a contagious pandemic.
Well, look, Juma prayer takes 5 minutes. It doesn't even, it's just one of those things that it's done so quickly where I live. Where I live, it's done unbelievably quickly. But the problem, now this is what they're saying, it takes 5 minutes.
Should you be 2 meters apart, or should you be touching your toes, as some people like to do, shoulder to shoulder, or should you pray at home? A very wise man said to me recently, the Quran says the world is a masjid. You can pray anywhere in the world. In a situation like this, if you're unable to go to the mosque on Friday.
Well, that's only common basic sense, and if you have the ability to go to the mosque, I strongly recommend that you don't. In fact, why take the chance? If that's your faith is telling you that don't take risks and don't endanger others and don't endanger yourselves. So why take that chance? And I think it comes down, there was a picture of a taxi driver that was circulating last week, I think up in Reading or somewhere. He drove his taxi to the mosque, and the mosque was obviously closed, like all the mosques are in England. And he just started to do his prayers outside the mosque, outside,
JM, he's saying I popped into his mosque this time last his shop. Which shop is that in Richmond? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, we should stay at home. The other thing that is mentioned in the Quran is that this is for a thinking people, right? Should we not think and use logic? The Quran forbids people to eat pork, but if you're starving and you're going to die, you can eat pork, right? Ah, Liquid Gold Cave in Richmond. Lovely to see you, yeah. The Greek shop. There's a wonderful shop. When we're over all this, get down to Richmond upon Thames by the river and go to the Liquid Gold Cave. You'll find some Greek treats in there. But yeah, all religion should tell you to use your brain. Too many people want to follow the letter of the law rather than the spirit of the law. This is how you wind up refusing to give your child a blood transfusion because you are a Jehovah's Witness who interprets the Bible literally. And I think spiritual people should be beyond that.
Well, yes, they should be. And also, I want to ask your viewers that what does indoctrination mean? That's my question. What does it mean? And are you victims of that, or are you perpetrators of that? That's my question.
I would love to know.
So
well,
you have to...
Go on. Go for it, Omar. You're in. I think there's a delay. Omar wants to explore the definition of indoctrination. I'm hoping he's going to relate it back to the word doctor and say the doctors are indoctrinating you. Don't go to the doctors. They will indoctrinate you. But I'm sure he's better than that. I do love how people twist words sometimes, especially certain sects of...
Well, freedom of speech, so that's their right to.
Yeah, freedom of speech. Well, when they're spelling the words, you spell the word because you're casting a spell on someone. That's the power of words. And Pfizer says, the wise man that said the world is your masjid, alhamdulillah, facts. Yeah, exactly. And I might as well tell you, the wise man is a chap called Rakeen from Rumi's Cave, where I met Omar not too many years ago. When it's all open and this is all done with, get back down to Rumi's Cave, where you can enjoy comedy, you can enjoy prayer, whatever you like. But yeah, he has a sensible approach to spirituality, does our mutual friend Rakeen.
Oh yes, Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, I can hear you. There's a bit of a delay, but you go for it and we'll hear you. Any other thoughts on the world being a masjid?
Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, I can hear you clear. You go for it. We can hear you.
Okay.
And
I like beautiful...
Yeah, go on.
Yes, I love that beautiful statement. And you're right. It was and it is from a wise man, but I think it goes bigger than the masjid. The masjid, the place where I do, as one of my English Muslim and very close best friends once said jokingly, Muslim yoga, referring to Salah.
Okay.
It's not a place.
A lot of
A
people are
masjid,
doing yoga at the
a
moment.
masjid. Excuse me?
I'm saying yoga is becoming very popular at the moment because people have got time on their hands and people are indoors. Maybe prayer will become popular as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is a video going around where you think a woman in her bikini is doing the Muslim prayer, but yet she's just doing yoga, which was very interesting a few years ago. But what also is very popular, I've noticed since I've been back in England, is intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is just like Ramadan. It's almost like Ramadan. They say don't eat for 18 hours or something, or 20 hours, and that's well, and interestingly, as we're on the point of Muslim things, I guess, in society, if you look at the issues that men had, some men, very few men, I don't see as a big deal if a woman and a man shake hands, so what? It's nothing, if you ask me. But others, they see it as a defamation or blasphemy of their faith. So that's fine. They don't have to do it. But a young man, I believe Muhammad Hijab also and others, and Ali Dawa and so on, they don't shake the hand of a woman, and yet they were mocked, and a man in Norway lost his job, and other imams had issues and so on. And now look at that coincidence that no one on earth right now is shaking hands. Anyone with any sense, no one, man, woman, no one is shaking hands.
But you're picking and choosing now. You're picking and choosing.
No, I'm going through it. No, I'm going through. Well, I'm picking and choosing things that you might find interesting. That's what I am doing. Yes, well, even also the burqas. Yeah. The burqa. Women were mocked. Women were attacked. Now you have every woman on earth wearing something like a burqa and trying to buy and paying a lot of money just to cover her face, just the way those poor women were covering their face. Now, my point isn't sinister or anything as such. I'm just saying what a coincidence, and either this is Islam or this is the old saying, what goes around comes around. Coming true.
Justin Timberlake. But you've picked up on the point that some Muslim men don't shake hands with women and vice versa as a religious teaching. The religious teaching also says that the best greeting for two to give is to take each other by the hand. Now, presuming that might mean two men. But that
I used to be.
I don't know the particular hadith, if it's a hadith. I believe there is something that says the best greeting is to take each other by the hand. Now, obviously, that doesn't apply when there's a pandemic. In a book that thick, you're always going to find something that can apply to something. But I think we should, rather than saying, oh, see, look, burqa, I wear a burqa, now you have to wear one, look at the wisdom, not the fine detail. The wisdom is, be a thinking person. You can apply logic. It's not rocket science to think, right, well, there's a pandemic on, I better stay in the house. A lot of people misinterpret, or they get confused between what is allowed and what is compulsory and what is a must. Like, well, it's Ramadan's coming up, and Tarawih prayers are going to be out the window, unfortunately. But Tarawih prayers are not a must. They're not compulsory. Am I right?
Well, you are right, but for me, they feel like a must.
5 prayers a day are compulsory. That's a must.
Yes. Well, 5 times a day, yes, you're right. And it takes 5 minutes to do the prayers anyway, and that is a must. But what people forget in Islam, what the Muslims forget, is that, yes, you have to do your prayers, which takes 5 minutes. It's no big deal. I've been doing it since I was for years, perhaps for decades. It's not an issue. I heard a beautiful...
Washing your hands before, so.
Yes, now everyone's doing voodoo, it seems, in the world.
And of course, if you can't find any water to do your wudu, you are allowed to use hand sanitizer. No, dust, tayammum. But look, you see, use logic. Use logic. Quran has logic. There's no water. Okay, do dust. It's at the end of the day, it's symbolic, but it has a practical benefit. Washing your hands does keep you healthy. But my goodness, did people not wash their hands before all of this? But anyway, go on, Omar. I interrupted.
Well,
what other gems have you got for us?
Well, no, people did wash their hands, but not with fastidiousness. They weren't washing them like they're washing them now, at minimum 5 times a day. That's the point of washing hands. But going back to my statement regarding the shaking hands, and I'm just, so confused about what the big deal is, if you ask me personally. But as someone who was born in this country, the Britishness of me, of course, will say that that's your right, that's your prerogative. If you believe that, you have the right not to be mocked and not to be dissed the way those poor men are. I don't know why they simply just don't say, when the women say to them, how dare you not shake my hand, just say, look, I'm sorry, I don't want to shake your hand. I feel a bit frisky when I shake women's hands. And that would be the end of it. I don't know why anyone has not said that so far. Well, sounds reasonable.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know if we're ready for that, Omar, in the era that we've just been through with the hashtag Me Too. You'd be the first person to get a sexual assault claim without touching anyone. But it would be deemed... I don't know. But this is the thing. Why be... I think if you go too overboard with it, I don't want to touch someone, I don't want to touch someone, are you not then sexualizing it? There has to be a happy medium in the middle somewhere. And people go to extremes. There are extreme people on the Muslim side who want to wear a burqa, want to keep the woman in the house in the burqa, don't touch hands, wear gloves, no, don't see anything. And at the other end, there are people forcing themselves on people. I want to walk around naked. I'm going to, anytime people do a protest, it has to be topless. Otherwise, it doesn't count, apparently. And the logical, sane, happy medium is people like yourself who are, as you describe yourself, a British Muslim. You practice your faith. You mentioned that you pray. I'm sure you are an observant Muslim, but you are...
Well...
You are British as well. And there's no reason why those two identities can't be combined.
Of course, they can be combined, but what I want to say to you and your viewers is that you mentioned praying, which takes 5 minutes 5 times a day. What's happened is now the connotation for Muslims and for Islam today is praying. If you pray 5 times a day, that makes you someone Islamic and righteous. But this is a complete unfair statement. This is completely wrong. I heard a beautiful hadith just yesterday on one of the channels from somebody called Noman Ali Khan, and he said that a man asked the Prophet of Islam, give me some diamonds, give me something. Give me something that I can live my life by, or give me something that I don't ever have to ask anyone for. And the Prophet of Islam said, believe in Allah and be upright. Be upright. And I thought, what a beautiful statement that is. That truly is, that even if you follow that, just being upright, it's just so beautiful. And that's what we should all strive for. Now, if I do my prayers, what benefit is it to you, or what benefit is it to the world? And how do you even know I do my prayers? Who cares if I do my prayers or not? If I treat others badly, that's it. Or if I'm not upright, then that affects not only my family, but my community. And nowadays with social media, so many people far and beyond. So I think being upright, Muslims forget that you have a duty to be upright. If you're a Muslim, be upright. You know, have something, have dignity, have decorum, have self-respect. Doesn't matter if you have no money or if you have nothing, then even though you can have something. And they asked an Indian imam once that you are somebody who grew up in the working class community, you have nothing, yet your manners are impeccable. You've got the best manners that I have ever seen in my life. That's incredible. How do you, you're just a working class person. And he said, they asked him, where did you get your manners from? And he said, I got my manners from the ill-mannered. They're like, what? He said, yeah, every time I saw people behaving badly, I said to myself, that's it, I'm not going to do this. When I saw people angry or quarreling or swearing, I said, looks horrible, it seems horrible, I'm not going to do this. And that's how he became well-mannered and very famous over in India. But my point is simple. Be upright. I don't care what your religion is, but just be as upright as you can be.
Omar, you have shared your wisdom with us as usual. Thank you very much. How are you doing at the moment, by the way, without being able to do your performances? I know you do a lot of live performances. You're a poet. You do a bit of comedy now and then. Are you missing it? Are you doing it online? What's happening?
No, it's impossible to do stand-up comedy online. But funnily enough, I was just speaking to my Moroccan fans out there. Many of them, no doubt, will be watching this. And they said in Tituan that, you know, exactly what you said, pretty much. And I said, look, I'm hating it. I'm hating, just like your good self, being on stage. I'm hating not being on stage. And I'm missing stand-up comedy, and it's very tough to even write jokes. It's very tough. If you don't have an audience, it's very tough to sit back and write jokes. But there's one thing that does free me, that's poetry. And if you or your viewers ever feel upset or sad, then I suggest that you just write your feelings down. Either write a story or write a poem.
Well said, sir. Thank you. Yeah, just interesting you said you can't do, it's impossible to do stand-up comedy unless it's in person. That's a very good point, and very true. And yeah, these are hard times. I think April the 1st has gone by without anyone cracking a joke. It didn't seem right to crack a joke. I mean, what would you say?
Well,
you know, I've cured the coronavirus. You just can't, you can't touch on the subject.
It's tough, you know. I put on the news, and it's tough when you hear of, you know, young kids dying. 13-year-old yesterday, the 19-year-old and 39-year-old. Just so many people dying all over the world. 1,000 people. Imagine that, 1,000 human beings dead. And they were saying today that that's what they know of. Those are the ones that die in hospital. There's thousands more that die that obviously can't get an autopsy or anything.
I think you can get lost in the numbers. And I'll do another show. We'll break down the numbers, but for now, I think it's just best to leave with your positivity and, like you said, make poetry or do something creative. I think that is the best thing to do at a time like this. So I appreciate that sentiment.
Well, what else can we do? I think you should get your viewers to write a poem about Corona, and then we can have it on your show, and the winner can receive £50,000 or something.
Send them in, and we'll read the best one out on air. Triple T, thank you very much for getting involved. But go on, add what you want.
Earlier on, you mentioned something about Islam, and you said you mentioned how people use Islam, and it's funny. My leader, my teacher, my guide, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he said that this is what happened when he was in Egypt. People used this faith, and they kept the mosque dirty because they said they wanted to keep it like the time that it was when the Prophet was there, and they were using the inconsistencies to justify their actions. And this was a terrible thing, and this is a terrible thing, and we shouldn't use the faith. The faith should be using us, and by using us, I mean making us do good for the faith, so people can say that we are indeed upright.
That's it. Remain.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Wonderful, Omar. Thank you very much, bud. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you, and goodbye to you. Look forward to it. Bye-bye.